Greetings. It's my big honor to have as a guest on my channel a great friend of mine, Seth, and fellow YouTuber Seth Alexander.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Luke. How you doing, man?
It's a big honor. Great to see you, Seth.
Yeah.
And I just want to, for everyone who is not subscribed to Seth already, I encourage you to go to Seth's channel. I'll put a link down below and subscribe to his channel. His channel is awesome. Very similar content to mine. And I can also say that Seth is a man of integrity and a man I trust. Great advice and really awesome videos. So definitely check out Seth's channel afterwards, link below.
You're too kind, Luke. You're too kind.
Yeah, and also I feel like me and you are kind of like the OG NoFap YouTubers. Nowadays there's hundreds of NoFap YouTubers, you know, but me and you were doing it years ago. So it's nice to have our deep camaraderie.
Deep roots, man. Deep roots.
So anyways, a week ago we had a phone call and we were just catching up, and Seth was telling me about a strategy that he did to overcome his porn addiction that I thought would be really valuable for my audience to hear. So yeah, you want to just jump into that and share that your strategy and your experience of overcoming your porn addiction, Seth?
Yeah, sure. So I think before I do that, I'll talk to you about my philosophy behind it all. So I started and stopped and failed at like NoFap several times. I failed for a couple of years before I was able to finally get a grip, no pun intended, on this whole like situation. Over the years of failure, what I started to realize for myself was that I don't have to be perfect. I just have to be better than how I was, you know, before, the day before, the week before, the year before. So you're talking to someone who was like, I was masturbating 3 times per day, legitimately for years, to pornography. And so for me, it was more like, as long as I'm doing better, like, yeah, I might have failed this week, but that one failure is much better than like relapsing 3 times a day like I used to. So I was always more focused on the progress that I was making rather than the fact that, you know, I'm trying to be perfect or not trying to be perfect, if that makes any sense. So
That's huge.
yeah, that ties into kind of my overall principle. So what I decided for myself, because I kept failing over and over, was, you know what, let me address one thing at a time. Because yeah, the pornography and masturbation, they're very intertwined, but I can still section them off. I can focus on one thing at a time. So I came up with an idea, which I don't know if it's original or not, but I came up with an idea for myself that I would allow myself to masturbate without pornography as much as I wanted, just as long as I did not look at pornography. And it did something to me internally where it almost released this pressure of being perfect and being 100% at NoFap. So it allowed me this freedom that I think I needed in order to come to my own understanding as to how detrimental masturbation was. So yeah, for that year, I mean, if you want to call it relapse, you call it relapse, but I did indulge in fapping like a lot that year. But what I noticed over time was that A, I became much less interested in it because it wasn't exciting without pornography. And then B, by the time, you know, a year or so came around, I had no interest in pornography. So it worked beautifully. It worked perfectly to where I was able to, very effective. I was able to get that urge to look at pornography out of my system. And that's literally nothing more than neural associations. I don't want to go too deep into it now, but the longer you stay away from something or the longer you abstain from something, the easier it is essentially for you to walk away from it. So at that point, I had zero urges to look at porn. I'd untrained myself essentially in terms of pornography. And then the next step was addressing the masturbation element of it. So that became my next objective. And, you know, it wasn't like I was perfect, and I wasn't perfect at it, but I still kept going and going and going. Nowhere near your 808-day streak. But what ultimately happened is masturbation lost its appeal to me. And that was the beautiful part of it. Overall, I am of the mind that it's cool to break it off in chunks. You don't have to be Mr. Perfection. You don't have to try to do it all at once, because I think the more that you try to do it all once, the more likely you are going to fail repeatedly, kind of like I did for those first few years of trying NoFap. And so yeah, that's pretty much how I've been able to get to where I'm at. Again, I'm nowhere near perfect, but I'm way, 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 way better. I mean, I'm nowhere near who and what I was several years ago when I was kind of embarking on this journey.
Yeah, I'm really glad you shared that perspective and strategy with my audience, because I've always been on the, for me what worked was going NoFap because they were so connected, and so I've always shared that perspective. But I have talked to some people who going straight to NoFap and no porn is extremely challenging for them, and they keep failing. And I think for them, trying your strategy of only doing one thing at a time would be some of them have done that, and that has worked successfully for them, and that's not something I've talked about on my channel. So I think, yeah, thanks for sharing that strategy with my audience, because I think it could be really helpful for some of them. It's overwhelming to do so many changes all at once, and and porn is definitely the main detriment, in my opinion.
And that reminded me, in my self-mastery camp group, I let the guys in that group know that this was my process, that I allowed myself the free range to masturbate as much as I wanted without pornography. And I know at least one of the guys put this to the test. And his weekly goals were just to eliminate masturbation to pornography. But what ended up happening is he ended up eliminating both porn and masturbation, and had one of his longest streaks ever. And I believe that's because of this whole depressurization of the whole NoFap process. When you're under pressure and when you're under stress, you perform the absolute worst. There's no situation, no scenario where that's not true. Think about it in sports, think about it in school. When you are under constant pressure, you're more likely to fail. So I think that this process, what it does is it takes away all the stress, all the striving for perfection, and it enables you to just have that free range to, be forgiving to yourself, but also keeping yourself in line, giving yourself boundaries, but not making a fortress in which you cannot fail.
That makes a lot of sense, and that's interesting for you and for that person in your camp, that once you allowed yourself to masturbate without porn, the desire to masturbate actually went away. So many people are fighting their desires, but to actually have that internal change where you don't even want to masturbate, that's like true transformation. Interesting, it makes a lot of sense, just one step at a time. And a big thing I've learned through work with lots of clients is different things work for different people, and experimentation is key. People have to try different strategies, and different things work for different people. But as long as something works, that's all that matters. And this is a strategy that, I've never talked about, but I've had some clients doing it. It's worked for them too. So, and I've never talked about it, so this was very valuable. Thanks for sharing a lot, Seth. Any final thoughts?
Like you said a few times, I'm just going to say it again. One step at a time, baby steps. You don't have to be perfect. We're not aiming for perfection here. We are aiming for progress.
Sweet. Yeah. I think this video turned out excellent. I'm really excited to upload this. Thank you so much for your time, Seth. This has been awesome. We also filmed a video over on Seth's channel, so make sure to check that out. Again, I'll put a link down below, and if you're not subscribed to Seth, definitely subscribe to Seth's channel. Again, link below, and give this video a thumbs up and comment below. And thanks for watching. Peace.